Picture a red carpet premiere under a sea of flashbulbs, where the air thrum with excitement and cameras swivel to capture every moment. It is 1995, and the buzz is electric. Arnold Schwarzenegger, the Austrian-born muscle phenomenon turned Hollywood icon, is expected to appear alongside Tom Cruise, the all-American superstar whose gravity-defying stunts and boyish grin have made him the face of blockbuster cinema. Yet when the time comes, only one arrives. The other vanishes into a swirl of whispers. What the crowd does not know, and what the gossip columns will never publish until 2 decades later, are the hidden threads of envy, ambition, and silent sabotage that have woven a secret war between these titans of Tinseltown. This is not a tale of friendly competition. This is a story of conspiracies, betrayals, and a conflict so clandestine that it remained buried behind the glitz of Hollywood for 20 years, until 2025 when the final curtain was torn away. In 1990, Arnold Schwarzenegger stood atop the cinematic mountain. Fresh from the mega-success of Twins and Total Recall, he had become more than an action star. He was a symbol of unstoppable determination, a former bodybuilder whose accent and charisma had conquered the American imagination. Every motion of his sculpted physique, every gravelly catchphrase, "I'll be back," rippled through box offices worldwide. Meanwhile, across town, Tom Cruise's star was rising with equal fervor. After his breakout roles in Risky Business and Top Gun, he had transformed from a teenage heartthrob into a veritable leading man. His reputation for performing death-defying stunts, vaulting onto the back of a motorcycle or dangling from a skyscraper, made his name synonymous with excitement, and his devotion to the Church of Scientology only amplified his mystique. By 1996, with Mission Impossible shattering records, Cruise was untouchable. At industry parties, on the sprawling sound stages of Universal and Warner Brothers, whispers circulated about mutual respect, or so the executives claimed. Photographs showed the two icons exchanging a polite nod at the Golden Globes, sharing a cordial handshake backstage at an Emmy afterparty, even briefly chatting under the glare of paparazzi lenses. But behind that veneer of courtesy lurked a simmering tension. Studio heads noticed how production offers for Schwarzenegger's company and Cruise's circle began overlapping. Both pitched futuristic action scripts to the same financiers in 1997, each claiming a unique angle that would eclipse the other. Deals that seemed amicable in early talks would collapse at the last minute due to creative differences, a polite euphemism that concealed fierce jockeying for industry control. The question on everyone's mind, though none dared ask it aloud, was why two men with such different styles, backgrounds, and fanbases could not simply coexist. In December 1998, the conflict took a decisive turn. Steven Spielberg, after months of script rewrites and location scouting, had reportedly set his heart on Schwarzenegger to star in his next sci-fi epic, Minority Report. Arnold's schedule was cleared, and initial contract talks suggested a multi-million-dollar payday. Production was set to begin in January 1999. Yet in the final week of December, shockwaves rippled through Hollywood when Universal Pictures announced with little warning that Tom Cruise would assume the lead role of Chief John Anderton instead. Rumor had it that Cruise personally intervened, phoning Universal executives late one night to insist they replace Schwarzenegger or face reprisal from his powerful network. The studio, fearful of jeopardizing relationships with high-ranking Scientology donors and losing access to Cruise's global box office draw, acquiesced. Arnold's camp was stunned. Agents scrambled to secure alternative roles, but the blow reverberated far beyond a single part. It signaled that the balance of power had shifted, and that Cruise's reach, bolstered by his church's financial clout, had eclipsed Schwarzenegger's once unassailable position. That same month, a leaked memo circulated among producers alleging that an unidentified caller had threatened Universal, "You back out on my guy, and you'll see your budgets disappear." No definitive proof tied the call to Cruise, but the implication hung heavy over every studio door. Within days, Minority Report's marketing campaign reframed Cruise as the centerpiece, and Schwarzenegger quietly moved on to a smaller film. The public remained largely unaware of the behind-the-scenes drama. Trade publications published bland statements about creative direction and scheduling conflicts. In early 1999, on the pristine Pinewood soundstage in London where Minority Report sets were rising, set hands whispered about an invisible fist guiding casting decisions. A production assistant claimed to overhear a conversation in which a studio executive muttered, "He's got an army behind him. You don't cross Tom." Yet those murmurs remained confined to industry insiders. Fans continued to debate the merits of Schwarzenegger's decision to pursue smaller roles and Cruise's seemingly unstoppable ascent. Meanwhile, Arnold's reputation took a subtle hit, where once he commanded every trailer and poster, he now appeared in mid-budget films that earned less than half of his previous blockbusters. The game had changed, and he had missed a critical move. But Schwarzenegger was not one to stay down for long. By November 2002, after years of pinballing between action movies and consulting with political advisors, he announced his candidacy for governor of California. The campaign relished coloring his life as a rags-to-riches story, an immigrant who built his fortune, gave back to his adopted home, and would now tackle the orphaned issues of Sacramento with the same unstoppable force he brought to the silver screen. His celebrity, so often a shield, now became a weapon. Rallies drew thousands, debates drew record television audiences, and Republicans and moderate Democrats alike endorsed him. When he was sworn in on November 17, 2003, his supporters cheered that an action hero had become their leader. That victory held deeper significance related to the unseen war with Tom Cruise. During Schwarzenegger's transition, he learned that the Church of Scientology had been covertly acquiring land near Los Angeles studios, properties intended to expand their entertainment production capacities. Rumors claimed that Cruise's inner circle had orchestrated those purchases, aiming to create a stable of films aligned with Scientology theology under their control. Schwarzenegger's transition team, upon discovering discrepancies in the donation records and local financing for these properties, initiated an investigation. In early 2003, the governor publicly announced a moratorium on new building permits for any production facilities tied to organizations failing to disclose full financial backers. That directive froze the church's lot conversion near Culver City, effectively stalling several high-profile projects, including a planned cruise-led sci-fi extravaganza titled Project Orion. Hollywood trembled at the news. Industry insiders whispered that Schwarzenegger had personally intervened, leveraging his new political clout to block Scientology's push. Cruise's allies decried the move as misguided political interference and insisted that voters would punish Schwarzenegger for targeting their beloved star. But Schwarzenegger's popularity soared in the polls. Many Californians admired his stand against secretive organizations, appreciating his promise of transparency. The Church of Scientology, caught in bureaucratic limbo, redirected its plans and retreated from further real estate bids. Cruise, visibly irked, remained silent in public. No social media in those days to broadcast grievances, but anonymous sources claimed that his relationship with state officials shifted from friendly to frosty overnight. Some studio executives even alleged that Cruise demanded Schwarzenegger's withdrawal from politics, threatening to withdraw financial support from California recovery initiatives tied to celebrity volunteers. Schwarzenegger ignored those threats, confident that a governor's mandate outweighed a movie star's bluster. By summer 2004, Schwarzenegger's administration began releasing redacted transcripts of meetings with Scientology representatives, showing attempts to curry favor and obscure their financial intents. The documents had coded language, phrases like organizational synergy and talent pipeline, but savvy reporters recognized it all as a smokescreen. They published exposés on how private interests had infiltrated studio funding, triggering fervent debates among film journalists. Cruise's camp countered with disclaimers: Tom's faith is his own, and it does not influence our creative partnerships. Yet each announcement met with headlines decrying hypocritical dualities, a church claiming separation of religion and entertainment, yet allegedly wielding both as political muscle. Schwarzenegger's actions, seen as protective of California's cultural industries, inadvertently became a direct challenge to Cruise's mystique. In late 2004, as Schwarzenegger's second year as governor began, anecdotes circulated about a tense phone call between Cruise and Schwarzenegger. A staffer allegedly overheard Cruise's voice crackling through on a secure line. you think you can push me around just because you got the fancy title? I'll wipe that smile off your face." Schwarzenegger, ever the cool-headed strategist, responded curtly, "I'm not acting in a movie. This is real life. Play by the rules or lose your stage." The staffer refused to reveal their identity publicly, but whispered that Schwarzenegger ended the call with, "Goodbye, Tom. We'll see who left standing." No recording surfaced. It remained a rumor, an industry urban legend that motored its way through backlit water coolers. Yet it marked the moment when friendly competition irrevocably turned into a personal vendetta. Come mid-2007, TMZ, a fledgling gossip site hungry for sensational scoops, strode into the fray. In June, they accidentally obtained an audio tape of what appeared to be Tom Cruise, enraged and cursing into a phone. The clip crackled with background noise, muffled footsteps, a faint hum suggesting he was in a private jet hangar or perhaps a soundproofed mansion. In clipped, furious tones, a voice said, "Schwarzenegger thinks he can just swoop in and shut us down. He's dead. You mark my words, anyone who crosses the church pays the price." The final hiss echoed, "Tell him we'll be coming for him next time." TMZ published the tape without commentary except for a short headline reading, "Leaked, Tom Cruise's death threat against Governor Schwarzenegger?" The internet erupted. Cruise's public relations team sputtered that the recording was completely fabricated and threatened legal action against TMZ. Yet forensic audio experts, one hired by TMZ, issued statements that the voice matched Cruise's vocal profile with a 92% certainty. Fans and foes alike debated its authenticity. Some claimed deliberate splicing and effects to embarrass Cruise, while others pointed to his historically private phone habits. Cruise cut his public appearances by half for months, and planned projects quietly rearranged their schedules. Schwarzenegger, for his part, chose not to comment. He remained focused on healthcare initiatives and environmental policies in California, but insiders noted a sharpened glare in his speeches when referencing secretive forces attempting to undermine democratic processes. The rumor endured that Schwarzenegger refused to confirm whether he believed the tape, instead telling his communications director, "Let them dig their own grave with it." The scandal cast a long shadow over Hollywood's finances. Cruise's profit participation deals, and those of his close producers, dropped as studios hesitated to associate with an actor under federal scrutiny. Trade magazines in late 2007 published ominous predictions that Cruise might face a box office slump paralleling failures he experienced in the mid-1990s. Iglesia Scientologica, the Church of Scientology, issued carefully worded press releases denying involvement, yet articles in the LA Times questioned their opaque donation records. Critics argued that if Cruise truly influenced a studio to reassess casting and production based on his religious connections, it represented a dangerous precedent, tying church influence directly to creative decisions and state governance alike. Schwarzenegger's decision to remain silent only fueled speculation, making the governor appear almost above the fray, a master tactician who let his adversary's own weapon, public unease, turn against him. Over the next few years, the rivalry subsided into an uneasy truce. Schwarzenegger term-limited out of the governor's mansion in January 2011, returning to Hollywood with devoted fans applauding his political wins. Cruise, after starring in fewer roles, gradually rebuilt relationships with studios. They both walked the same film festivals again, Arnold greeting adoring throngs at Comic-Con, Cruise slipping through VIP areas at Cannes. They even shared billing at charity galas, each giving perfunctory nods to the other when camera flashes popped. Yet the undercurrent remained, a silent enmity, a ledger of favors owed and debts unpaid. Neither championed the other's charitable causes, and the slightest misstep in protocol, an offhand interview remark, could reignite speculation that one was still plotting the other's downfall. By 2024, buzz began to circulate about Schwarzenegger's impending on-screen return in a gritty, adult-oriented dystopian thriller titled Last Bastion. Early concept art showed a bleak, urban future where Schwarzenegger played a battle-hardened rebel leader returning to the ashes of a ruined society. At Comic-Con that summer, scant footage teased audiences, glints of a post-apocalyptic skyline, Schwarzenegger's weathered face illuminated by flickering neon. Meanwhile, Cruise's production company, now under the stewardship of his longtime manager, quietly developed a sci-fi epic called Skybreaker, featuring Cruise as a maverick pilot battling a rogue artificial intelligence in deep space. In November 2024, Cruise's team announced that principal photography would begin in early 2025, setting up a July 18, 2025 release, precisely the same date Last Bastion planned to debut. Some insiders insisted it was a harmless coincidence, others suspected an orchestrated move to force Schwarzenegger into a direct box office clash. In late December 2024, Cruise dropped a surprise press release. "I've always admired Arnold, but the time has come to remind audiences why I'm still at the top of my game. Skybreaker will redefine what action cinema can do." Schwarzenegger's team responded with a brief statement. "Arnold looks forward to delivering a performance that shows why he's been an icon for over 4 decades. The public, thirsty for drama, seized on every tweet, every social media like or retweet, as evidence of an intensifying feud." Entertainment websites coined phrases like, "the Armageddon of action stars," and "blockbuster bloodbath," predicting that the summer of 2025 would go down in history as the ultimate showdown. Industry analysts dissected budgets. Last Bastion carried a reported production cap of $150 million, with Marvel-level practical effects and a cast filled with rising stars. Skybreaker boasted $175 million, utilizing state-of-the-art space simulators and contractually obligated zero-gravity sequences with Cruise himself refusing stunt doubles. Speculation mounted that both studios had allocated extra marketing dollars, each willing to risk tens of millions more than usual to tilt the scales. Ratings agencies began projecting opening weekends, $60 million for Last Bastion, $65 million for Skybreaker. Shareholders quaked at the tantalizing possibility of both films cannibalizing each other's audiences, potentially disappointing fans of one camp to buoy the other. Then, on February 10, 2025, a former Scientology operative using the codename Eagle Eye approached a renowned entertainment newsletter under the veil of anonymity. Eagle Eye claimed they possessed meeting minutes from 2002 through 2004 showing high-level consultations between Cruise's team and Scientology's top liaisons on how to secure strategic film roles. More damningly, they provided metadata logs indicating that the 2007 TMZ tape had been sourced from a secure Scientology archive, a recording believed destroyed but preserved in hidden backup servers. The whistleblower's dossier included email exchanges in which Cruise's manager privately referred to Schwarzenegger as the obstacle in the way and speculated that removing Arnold from Minority Report would ensure Tom's uncontested dominance. They also released bank statements showing transfers from church-funded entities to consultancy firms that specialized in influence peddling within state politics, evidence, Eagle Eye claimed, that Scientology knowingly leveraged donations to influence Schwarzenegger's moratorium on their projects. The newsletter's March 2025 issue laid it all bare. Documents reveal how Tom Cruise used the Church of Scientology to tilt entire film deals, sabotage Schwarzenegger's career, and then threatened the governor himself. Now, as both stars prepare clashing summer releases, the decades-long secret war is finally public. For the first time, mainstream audiences read authoritative accounts of a conflict that had previously been relegated to tabloid whispers and backlit rumors. Hollywood's power brokers reacted with shock, though few publicly commented. Cruise's next public appearance, supposedly to shoot a teaser for Skybreaker, was cancelled without explanation. Schwarzenegger's social media lit up with messages praising his courage for exposing the truth. On April 5, 2025, Tom Cruise held a rare press conference in New York City. Dressed in a simple black turtleneck and blazer, he faced rows of microphones and glaring camera lenses. In a measured, calm voice, he said, "I've seen these allegations. Let me be clear, I pursued roles I was passionate about, as any actor does. I've never instructed anyone to threaten a governor. I respect Arnold's contributions, he's an icon. But these supposed documents? They're fabrications. I challenged the newsletter to prove their authenticity in a court of law. When asked about the 2007 tape, he paused, his jaw tightening. That recording? A cheap forgery by people who wanted to embarrass me. I'm focused on my craft and my fans, not petty politics. 3 days later, Schwarzenegger posted a 2-minute video on Instagram from his gym in Los Angeles. He wiped sweat from his brow before addressing the camera. For years, rumors swirled about Tom's influence and the role of his church. I stayed silent because I believed the truth would reveal itself. Now it has. My colleagues in government vouched that we acted to protect California's industries from hidden donors. That cost my relationship with many in Hollywood, friends who now realized they were pawns. But I have no regrets. We found proof that film deals were manipulated, careers sabotaged, and a governor threatened. Hollywood deserves transparency. If Tom wants to dispute it, let him do so under oath. The entertainment world reeled. Late-night talk shows debated whether this would mark the